Hi, listeners, and welcome to the True Crime Weekly podcast, a podcast that is based in San Diego and hosted by me, Alina Trujillo, and my producer, Jose Fernandez. This is a podcast where I will be bringing you stories of murders, infamous cases, and unsolved mysteries.
In July 1984, the deceased body of 17-year-old Gary Lauwers was discovered in a shallow grave in the Astakia woods. A knife had been viciously plunged into his head, neck, and chest 17 times. It is said that the devil, drugs, and rock and roll led 17-year-old Ricky Casso to the ritual murder and eventually to his own suicide. This is the story of Ricky Casso and the murder of Gary Lauwers.
Okay, Jose, so I actually heard through the grapevine that this story that you're about to tell us was actually recommended by one of our crew members, aka listener. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I looked it up and it seemed more like my type of story versus yours.
Oh.
So I figured...
That's why it was handed to you?
Yeah, so it's headed my way. So yeah, this is a story of Ricky Casso and Gary Lauwers.
Okay, well, I'm very excited.
You should be.
I am. I'm very excited. I always get excited when listeners actually recommend stories for us to do. So I'm excited to see what this one's about. I don't think I've heard of Ricky Casso.
Yeah, for sure. It was like back in the 80s. And I guess what caught my attention was the whole like devil worship. And then there was like a media frenzy around this thing.
Wait. Hold up. Why were you excited about the devil worshiping? Are you a devil worshiper?
No. That scares me.
Oh.
So it piqued my interest. So then I was like, okay, that's interesting. Then it started going to satanic panic and all this crazy stuff. So that's what got my attention. So anyways, why don't we go ahead and get started? Okay. So Northport is a serene middle upper class city of around 7,200 people. And it's 40 miles east of Manhattan on the north shore of Suffolk County in New York. In 1984, this little town of Northport was really considered a safe place, okay? Most parents didn't think twice about leaving their kids alone while they went out to work, right? And it's kind of normal for like the 80s, right? 70s, 80s and stuff.
That's what I feel, yeah.
Things definitely have changed since then.
Leaving kids alone, I feel like, was the standard. I remember being left alone with my brother all the time. Sometimes like for a weekend.
For a whole weekend.
We would go shopping for TV dinners, or like my parents would leave us $20 to order Pizza Hut.
Oh, Pizza Hut. That sounds so good. So Ricky Casso was known as a school drug dealer. Okay. He was known for doing a ridiculous amount of LSD and PCP.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Friends and acquaintances said that they never saw him really sober, so much so that he actually earned the nickname of the Acid King, because he'd be dropping acid.
Ew, not cool.
Yeah. So he hadn't always been that way. It kind of changed throughout his life. Up until about junior high school, he had been a clean-cut kid. His mother was a teacher, and his father was a school football coach. Oh. So kind of weird that he went in that direction, right? Yeah. But around 7th grade, he began to change. And that was actually, unfortunately, the first time that he had dropped acid. What led him to that, I don't know. But, as a kid...
7th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade.
Dang.
So Casso's behavior went downhill from there. And he quickly spiraled into a bad addiction problem. Knowing that he had a problem, though, his family actually enrolled him in a community drug program. But Casso didn't really take it seriously, and he just kind of skipped it. So the family actually later on committed him to a psychiatric facility, but that didn't really stick either.
Wait, but if he had a drug problem, why did they all of a sudden... I mean, was there also a mental illness? Do you know? Do we know?
Well, I'll kind of get to it a little bit further down, but okay. I think it also had to do with just his like attitude, his frame of mind.
Okay.
And he'd always kind of kid around about killing himself. So,
kid around.
Yeah, he'd like joke around about killing himself or throw it out there like it was whatever, Okay. So, I mean, I assume they were taking it seriously, but on top of the drug problem, that was very blatant. I think all that mixed together, they thought, well, if he gets institutionalized into a mental hospital, maybe things will change. He won't be able to do drugs and he'll get cleaned up too.
Right.
On top of getting him help. So later on, the family actually ended up kicking him out of the house. And he was just like a young teenager at that point. He was forced to really just go crash at friends' houses or sleep in the nearby Astakia woods. And during this time, one day while in the school library, Casso found some books on Satanism and the occult. And it kind of piqued his interest.
Okay, hold on. He found these books in the school library?
Yeah, which I thought was super weird.
Yes!
Like, why would they even have that in there?
I know.
It makes you wonder, like, was it really there by the school, or was it kind of like...
Like a kid just went and left it there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I would hope to never find that, or for kids to be able to find something like that.
I know.
So he actually ended up just carrying around the Satanic Bible and randomly saying, "Hail Satan."
Ew.
Yeah. So Casso soon lost interest in school, and he dropped out when he was 16. Okay. So without school out of the way, he began even doing more drugs, more LSD, which he referred to as mescaline, and also PCP. His friends and his classmates would actually say that it was not uncommon for him to do about 40 tabs of acid a day, along with PCP, marijuana, and really whatever other drug that he could get his hands on. So he definitely had a severe problem.
Yeah.
And think about it, at 16, right? So Casso, like a lot of his friends, was a big fan of heavy metal bands like AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, all those like 80s hard rock bands, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess one thing that maybe piqued his interest too is that, especially around the 80s, metal bands typically had music and album covers of dark, gothic, devil-worshipping type of things, right?
Okay. You better not be trying to blame this on the metal bands, because I will object. Like, I mean, I know what you mean. I remember even when I started getting into AC/DC, like, I remember there was, like, rumors where if you played the record, like, backwards which I was like, oh, let's do it. That's creepy.
I'm not sure, like, which actual bands they would say that about. It seems like anything, even like Kiss and stuff. So I don't really know, but yeah, I mean, that's a thing. During this time, that was like really a thought. You got to think back then, there was a whole satanic panic thing going around.
That's true.
So people were really terrified that there was this whole underground thing of devil worship, and it was just creating this influence in combination with drugs, the music, and it was leading people to do bad things, like murder people, right? So that was just like prevalent out there during that time.
Okay.
So it's not sure if it was all the hallucinogenics, but Casso took the devil worship very seriously. He would do acid and hang out at the local cemetery. And he would go to the cemeteries really just to hang out, smoke 10 bags of angel dust, and try to get in touch with the devil. Oh. That was his thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Super weird. Not completely opposite of what I'd be trying to do. So
you don't want to hang out at cemeteries?
No, not at all.
I do.
No, thank you.
I kind of do. Like, it'd be fun. Like, like, okay. Like,
I understand.
Yes.
Well,
let's record. Let's take pictures.
Oh, no.
Let's bring the Ouija board. Let's see what happens.
Oh, no. Well, remember that one time? It was over the Old Town Cemetery? And there's that ghost tour?
Yep. And I'll do it all over again.
Took that picture. Something really creepy was in there. Oh, no. I didn't want to talk about it.
Love it.
Nope. But he did have a crew of close friends, including Jimmy Troiano, Albert Quinones, and Gary Lowers. At one point, Casso had a fascination with the need to get a hold of a human skull.
Oh my God.
Why? I don't know. It's kind of unclear. But his crew of friends actually helped Casso dig when he decided he wanted to get a skull from an old Revolutionary era cemetery.
Oh, no.
It's not really certain why he wanted the skull. Some said he wanted to use it in a satanic ritual at the Amityville whorehouse. Okay. Others said he wanted to sell it for drug money, which really...
Who would buy... Never mind.
I don't know. I mean, but it's...
Yes, strike that.
It's not entirely certain why he wanted the skull, right? But either one of these kind of seems like a viable option given, okay, he's a drug addict, and on the other hand, he's doing some devil worship stuff, right?
So let me help a guy out? No.
Well, I gotta think they were all into drugs and
that's
stuff.
True.
So
okay.
They're all kind of doing the same thing and hallucinating, seeing weird things. So one night he even went to the Amityville whorehouse to celebrate Walpurgisnacht. And I might be butchering that, but that's okay. It's an early German pagan feast night when the devil spirits gather. Okay. Yeah, and that's not weird at the Amityville whorehouse. Like, Ugh, it's crazy to me.
Well, I'm assuming just because they're close to it. Like, I'm assuming, like, maybe stuff like that goes around here in San Diego and it'll be at the Whaley House
or something.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, but it seems kind of adds another element of creepiness to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, he ended up later getting caught with a human skull and a hand, okay? And he was arrested.
Wait, a skull and a hand?
Yeah, skull and a hand.
Oh, okay.
So a year after that grave robbing incident, Casso came down with pneumonia. Remember when he was out there being homeless and stuff, so he wasn't really able to take care of himself that well.
Right. Well, and the drugs.
That too. Well, while he was in the hospital, his mother tried to have him committed to another psychiatric facility. Tried to take that opportunity.
Okay.
They tried to have him institutionalized at Long Island Jewish Hospital. But the psychiatrist determined his mental health did not warrant institutionalization, and they actually ended up releasing him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So according to Casso, and these are in his words, he bullshitted the psychiatrist sent to evaluate him, denying having any suicidal thoughts or doing any devil worship. And the psychiatrist determined that Casso was just antisocial, but wasn't a danger to anyone, and again, therefore he couldn't involuntarily be committed. One night, Casso was so high that he passed out at a party from his own drugs. Well, while he was out, Gary Lowers, who's 17, a friend of his, took 10 bags of angel dust from Casso's jacket.
Oh, no.
Yeah, kind of a big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, when Casso woke up and realized he'd been robbed, he was pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
Lowers confessed immediately and returned 5 of the bags.
But weren't they 10?
Well, he kind of smoked the rest and
Oh my
gave the rest away to
God.
friends, so he was kind of screwed out of that, right?
Yeah.
So he did promise to pay him back for the other 5.
Okay.
So he kind of like prepared like a payment plan with him
Oh my God. Okay.
for the $50 that he owed Casso. Okay.
Okay.
So $50, okay, fair enough. He was gonna eventually pay him. But again, still, Casso was pretty angry about this, and he wouldn't really forget about the incident. So he frequently kind of like messed with him and would beat him up. So it wasn't out of the ordinary. And you think like this is one of the guys that he was actually hanging out with beforehand.
He sounds like, he sounds like that jerk friend that is like, oh, he's kind of a jerk, but for some reason he's still my friend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is like the other guy had a problem too, you know, so he
That's
was
true.
kind of probably his supplier for the drugs. So, just a really bad environment. You know what I mean? But by mid-June, Lowers had finally paid Casso off. Okay. So at that point, things kind of seemed to be patched up between them, at least according to everybody that kind of ran in their circle. Well, on June 19th, 1984, Ricky Casso, along with his 18-year-old friend James Toriano and another local addict, and his other friend Albert Quinones, also 17-year-old, again, all of them are addicts, lured Lowers into the woods with a promise of getting high. So at first, Lowers didn't really want to go. But get this, Casso offered to buy him jelly donuts. And that really...
I'm sorry. That totally like, you know, again, you just said you wouldn't spend the night at a cemetery. I said, yeah, sure, I'm willing to try. That's how I would lure you to try.
I knew you were
this.
going to say that. I
It's
knew
like,
it. That's what I was
Jose,
laughing.
I will buy you a dozen jelly donuts. And you'd be like, done.
I don't need a dozen. I just need one. Okay. So anyways,
man.
as a promise to get high and jelly donuts, sounded like a good time. So he went to the woods with them. Like I said, I probably would have done the same thing. Anyways, the 4 boys with some other friends found a spot in the woods to make a bonfire. But they had a hard time getting the wet wood to burn. So then Lowers was peer pressured into taking off his socks and cutting off the sleeves from his jean jacket so he can throw them in the fire to burn it.
Oh, because
to
of
get
the
it
wood.
started. Yeah.
Because of the wood wouldn't burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, there's nothing worse than walking around like with your shoes with no socks on. Like, I can't stand that feeling. I'd be like, hell no, I'll cut off the sleeves of my jean jacket.
You can take my whole jacket if you want, but yeah, no.
Not the socks.
Not the socks. If that's the case, may as well take my shoes. Yeah, so at this point, it was, again, the 4 boys, but there was also a bunch of other friends, too. So this was like a big group of
like
people.
a gathering.
Yeah.
They're having a party.
So this party started to get kind of weird because of all the drugs that were being consumed.
I can imagine.
And some weird ritualistic stuff started happening. But, I'll tell you more about that after this commercial break.
That was fantastic, Jose. You want to know what I just did?
What'd you do?
I opened up, and you don't get any. I opened up the new wine that I received from Wine of the Month Club. So do you, Jose, want to treat yourself or someone special to great wines month after month?
I would love to.
Well, now you can with Wine of the Month Club. With Wine of the Month Club, you get 3 different bottles of rare international wine every month. You get to choose from all red, all white, or mixed. You can also choose to do a package every 2 months or 3 months if that's a better option for you. And every package ships with their monthly newsletter covering your selections and our listener favorites. Fun facts.
We are a proud affiliate, which means if you go to truecrimeweeklypodcast.com/support the show and click on the Wine of the Club month link and sign up, we will earn a commission.
You can support the show and get wine delivered to your door by using promo code HOLIDAY15 to get $15 off any 4-month club, or you can use promo code HOLIDAY20 for $20 off any 6 months club, which sounds like a win-win to me. You get to stay home during this COVID-19 pandemic, quarantine by yourself, and your wines.
And they ship free.
What? Hey, Jose. So you know that during this pandemic, it could even be scary to go to the grocery store sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you can save yourself that trip using Instacart. Instacart delivers groceries in as fast as 1 hour. Instacart highlights deals to help you save money. They find everything you usually buy. You can get smart suggestions for new items. They even pick the freshest produce, and they keep your eggs safe too.
We are a proud affiliate of Instacart, so head over to truecrimeweeklypodcast.com/support the show and click their link.
So now with the fire going, the teens did what they normally did. A bunch of drugs. The 4 of them had taken a total of 40 tabs of LSD and smoked 17 baggies of PCP. Right? So as the night went on, the rest of the friends had left, and it really just left the 4 boys, right? Leaving Casso, Troiano, Quinones, and Lowers. Fueled with a lot of drugs, Casso demanded that Lowers remove his clothes and I quote, donate them to the fire.
Oh, God, leave me alone.
I know, he's just messing with this guy.
Yeah.
I think he's still kind of, it's definitely lingering over what had happened before, right?
Get over it.
Well, he's not. But Lowers refused. Okay, so Casso, right? Casso and Lowers started to fight. This is when it really goes downhill. Casso ended up stabbing Lowers in the back. He continued to stab him, and then he told Lowers to profess his love to Satan. At that point, Lowers cried out, "I love you, Mom."
That's horrible.
Lowers tried to run, but Casso caught up to him, and Troiano actually helped hold him down as he continued to stab him.
Oh, man.
Now, at this point, they think that he's dead, right? So now Troiano and Casso drag the body to another portion of the woods and try to cover the body with some brush. At that point, Casso's bent over the body, and he started to chant something about Satan. This is according to Troiano. But Lowers suddenly sat up, and Casso freaked out.
Yeah.
Casso then took his knife and stabbed him multiple times in the face until Lowers was finally truly dead.
Oh, my God.
It was a brutal stabbing. Like, almost his eyeball was out. Like, it was gouged out. So at that point, the 3 teenagers, really high, really messed up on drugs, they left the woods. Afterward, Casso and Troiano threw the knife off of a bridge, and the 3 agreed to never tell anyone. But Casso couldn't keep it quiet. He told several friends what he had done, and he would brag about it, like laughing. Like that was the reason he was telling people. Most of them didn't believe him because it seemed like to be too gruesome to even be real. But he wouldn't keep his mouth shut. So then Casso decided to prove it. Over the course of a few days, he took several friends down to the woods And I'm talking about like close to 20 people, okay?
What?
To show Gary Lauer's decomposing remains
Oh my
and
God.
brag about it to prove that he did it.
Oh.
But get this. Not one of the friends told the police or even a parent.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
One girl did tell Castle that he should at least cover the remains, like bury the body.
Oh, okay. Gee,
Yeah.
thanks.
Like, here's some advice, because I feel bad. 2 weeks went by after Lauer's murder, but his parents had done little more than ask a few of his friends, and they even actually reached out to Casso to see if they knew where he was. The thing is that Lauer's often ran away, so it wasn't really out of the ordinary for him to disappear for periods of time. Again, he was an addict too, so, you know, I think the parents just kind of expected him to come back at some
Right.
point, but, you know,
Man,
not
that's
take it too seriously, or that
Right.
something was, you know, really, really wrong.
Yeah.
So at this point, the smell of his decomposing remains was getting really strong, so even creeping outside of the woods. So Casso and Troiano started to panic a little bit, and they decided, you know what, we need to bury him. So they ended up digging a shallow grave and then pushed his body into it. Now, it's kind of gruesome. Because the decomposition was already so advanced, Lauer's skull actually detached from the body
Oh my
while they
God.
were removing the remains. And, of course, Casso found this very amusing
son
with
of a
his weird
bitch.
fascinations that he has. So at this point, Casso and Toriano figured they had gotten away with a murder. Like, they're clean. That's it. The body's done. Yeah, we told 20 people, but everybody's keeping their mouth shut, so we're good. But soon after, someone finally would speak up and call the police. They heard about how Casso had confessed to murdering Lauers and how he would take people out to the woods to look at the remains. Now, at first, the police didn't take the tip very seriously.
Oh my God.
Mainly because there had been no missing person report for
Oh,
Lauers.
right,
He wasn't even
right.
missing at this
That's
point.
true.
So what is there to investigate? So they did eventually follow up on it. And using cadaver dogs, police discovered Lauer's remains buried in a very shallow grave on July 4th. An autopsy would show that he died from dozens of stab wounds in his back and face.
Ugh, that's horrible.
Meanwhile, Casso and Troiano had made it to Chicago. They actually decided, you know what, we're going to leave. I think they're actually trying to go, their goal was to go to like California. But they made it to Chicago and then they decided, you know what, I miss my friends, let's just go back. So they sold some drugs, and with the money they made, they bought like a cheap car and drove it back to Northport, New York. When they got back, they still didn't know that the police had been tipped off. So they still thought they were in the clear. They partied with their friends, and when the party was over, they slept in their car together, okay? But someone reported the car as suspicious to police. The first responding police officer saw Casso and Troiano sleeping inside. So now the police actually recognized immediately who they were.
So then the police, they were looking for them.
Yeah, they were aware. So with the tip, they had given the information of Casso and Troiano
okay.
and Quinones too. So they're aware who they're looking for. They just didn't know where they were. Casso and Troiano woke up to 18 officers with their guns drawn surrounding the car. Police also arrested Quinones, who quickly made a deal. He sought immunity from prosecution in exchange for his testimony. And based on his testimony, both Casso and Troiano were charged with the murder of Lauers.
Okay.
Now, Casso did deny it at first, but while he was under questioning, he actually did eventually confess. He never gave his reason as to why he killed Lauers, but he did say while he was stabbing him, he was shouting, and I quote, satanic stuff. But Casso would never face trial. The day after his arrest on July 7th, 1984, he committed suicide by hanging himself in the jail cell.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, the media had heard about Casso's devil worshipping because the police press release stated that he belonged to a satanic cult and performed satanic rituals. And this really brought the media to go crazy over the story. You got to remember, during the early to mid 80s, the satanic panic was definitely a thing, like we said before. Casso and his crew fit the mold because they were into drugs, devil worshipping, and they listened to heavy metal music. So again, the media went nuts over this. So with Quiñones immune and Caso now dead, that left Troiano as the only suspect to face trial. The only evidence that prosecution had was Quiñones' testimony. Mm-hmm. Now, Troiano's story changed quite a bit as he explained to his lawyers, and I quote, "It's hard to remember exactly what happened when the trees are melting and the stars are rushing around." End quote.
I mean, I guess that's kind of true.
It is kind of true. They were super high and on hallucinogenics. So this was really the key to his defense. Both Quiñones and Troiano admitted to having taken at least 10 tabs of acid each and having smoked multiple bags of angel dust. So neither of their testimonies could be believed. The stab wounds in Lauer's back could indicate he had been held down, as Quiñones claimed, right? Quiñones claimed that Troiano held him down as he was stabbing him. But it could also indicate that Lauers was passed out when Caso attacked him. Mm-hmm. So with no concrete evidence tying Troiano to the actual murder, he was found not guilty.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so frustrating. It's so frustrating for, Lauer's family, because obviously now they have no closure. There was no justice for them. I mean, they know what happened to their son, but... where's the justice?
Yeah. At the end of the day, he was there. He had helped cover the body. He didn't go out to the police. Like, there was nothing. But again, they were high. So just because they were so high, that makes it okay. Like, I just don't get that part.
Right.
Either.
Yeah. No. Oh, that's so frustrating. It's frustrating. It also frustrates me. Like, I hate that stigma of, they drove to do this because of heavy metal. I hate that stigma. Like, to me, that's just so wrong. And that, I feel like nowadays we've kind of driven away from, the music made them do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so, because that's something that irritates me so much. But I know that there's also now, we moved on to, because of the video games they played. That's something else that is just, to me, the video game didn't force somebody to kill somebody. Heavy metal didn't cause anybody to kill anybody. You know what I mean? It's just, to me, it's like there's an underlining issue with that person. Why can't we look at that instead of trying to blame other stuff? That's just very frustrating to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I
used heavy metal to scare my parents. But again, I never, killed anybody.
Like, oh no, she's turning crazy. I'm gonna have to institutionalize her. Yeah, I mean, it's super true. Like said, back then, that was just a moment of panic where your parents would kind of freak out and go, oh no, we don't want them to go in that direction because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's an unfortunate story. There were a lot of kind of people around, a lot of witnesses that saw the body, and nobody said anything. But again, I mean, there were kids, so I don't know. I don't know how much
That's
blame you can put on them, but still, I mean, it's just a gruesome attack and something really unfortunate that happened.
If you want to look at pictures and want more information on the cases we cover, you can head over to truecrimeweeklypodcast.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Podcast True Crime Weekly. And please don't forget to support the show by going to truecrimeweeklypodcast.com/support the show. And I would truly love it and appreciate it if you will leave a 5-star review and subscribe onto Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen. The only way that people find out about us is through subscribers and reviews. Thanks for listening.